Good morning and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be taking a look at a Relicts deck. This one's going to be featuring Morntart, and I've seen a few of these types of decks on the ladder the other day, and I just wanted to show you guys my version of the deck. And it's a little bit different than what we've seen, but I think it is pretty well optimized. To start off with, we have Mamuna, which is going to be a big point swing for us. We're able to banish a unit from our graveyard and boost self by the power of it, then summon the other copy from the deck. So ideally, we don't want Sabbath in this case. We could just summon it, which is fine because we'll often be reaching for the Griffins, but we have really good options in addition to that, like the Self Eaters, we have the Gantian, we have the Witch Apprentice, and so forth, right? Lesser Witcher would be another option here, so no shortage of options for that. That's going to help with our consistency and overall just point slam so that we can get Sabbath quickly in order to get some of the payoffs from Sabbath that we have, such as the Bloody Mistress and the Yaga. Now, I have Yaga in the deck. I posted a Yaga deck last month. It was very popular, but I do believe that in the meta right now, based on what I've seen so far, a lot of decks are playing super greedy. Now, to me, that says, why don't we go ahead and punish that, right? We have the ability in this case to consume a 4 provision unit and increase the provision by 1 with a cooldown of 2. So if we're playing into the hand buff matchup, this is going to be really cool because we can go and we can consume a lot of the hard work that they've put in to making their hand buffs pay off, right? So we can go in for 4s, and then we can go in for like the Hawker Smugglers when we finally get to 6, and then we can go in for, you see what I mean? It can kind of keep going that way. And because that deck specifically is Devotion, there aren't a lot of answers to it, and it might provoke them to play an early Skags, so they might not get the best Skags value later on in the match. So this is something that I'm going to experiment with, and I think it makes a lot of sense here. We have Bloody Mistress, which is just for points. We have to get some points for ourselves, so at the end of the turn, it's going to spawn a fruit on both sides, transform into a Gurnakora, and then basically boost itself by the amount of the tokens that we control at the end of the turn. So it makes a big difference there. This should get up to, maybe 20 points if we can get Sabbath early, left untreated. We also have the 2 Thrive engines that are going to come off of that, so it makes a big difference there. I wanted to go in the way of control. I like to play control, so Qcento Heatwave just seems appropriate here. Banish a unit or an artifact so we can get around whatever we need to get around, whether it be the tallest unit, scenario, defender, etc., right? So makes a big difference there. I've seen a lot of people trying to play Morntart, but I have not seen anyone trying to protect Morntart all that much, maybe Defender at most. I think Mushy Truffle is really appropriate here because not only does this artifact have resilience so we can have flexibility within our rounds, we have the ability to obviously go and pull out Lesser Witch, which ultimately gives us more units for the Morntart later on, but at the same time, the Golden Froth is going to help boost the Morntart up by 2. So what this is going to do for us is now it has 4 armor and 1, which makes it pretty easy at 5-point removal, right? We can actually just go ahead and we can boost that, and makes the world of a difference here. So the likelihood of this surviving and actually working is so much higher than that of maybe just the Defender in some cases, because again, they're going to need like a Heat Wave or some really tall punish to get around this, which is really nice. And we have the Naglfar for consistency. I think that with the Mamuna and the Naglfar and the Wild Hunt Riders, we should be fine. I played a lot of a similar version to this deck with exception to a couple cards last season, and I had no problem pulling into my golds. So I'm feeling very confident with this one here that should just be fine. Toad Prince stays. I see a lot of people cutting Toad Prince if they played him in decks like this. I do believe that Toad Prince still has merit in the meta right now. Not every matchup you're going to play is hand buff, and not every hand buff is going to have a buffed card. So, especially the ones spawned off Bountiful, so there's always going to be a target for this here. But think of the possibilities as well. We could play into things like a Morntart, eating their Morntart in a mirror match. There's tons of crazy stuff. And moving on to the Rat Catcheress here, we have just a good general point slam. Obviously, we're going to be getting the extra point every time we play a relic, and we have no shortage of relics as well, so this should engine up quite well. In the past, I would have put maybe Pugo here as well in this range, but I think that it's just worth it to go with this one here instead if I had to choose one of the two, and that's simply because of the additional value it could have, as well as the fact that it's not damaging one of our own units in order to play it, so it makes a big difference there. We talked about Morntart. Self Eaters are going to really split up the board and give us tons of cards on the board for the Morntart, so we want to have these as much as possible so we can get the ultimate point slam at the end with the Morntart. So bear in mind that whenever we play a relic, this is going to increase the base power by 1, so as soon as it gets high enough to keep splitting it, you want to keep splitting it so the whole board's just thriving with these whenever we play Relics. So it makes a big difference, a huge difference. And Yancian's another great target, like I mentioned earlier, for Mamuna. I think that it's important to play this obviously between 2 relics if you can, maybe something that comes off the Self Eater or the Lesser Witcher when they're bonded and they summon beside each other, because this will boost by 2 for each adjacent unit. It'll increase its base power, so it makes a big difference, big difference, right? And pretty much to round it off here, the Witch Apprentice are just really good engines. If we have Sabbath at the end of the turn, it's going to boost itself by 2. I have a little bit of attack in for a Kolgrim matchup, for basically for the hand buff matchup and things like that. So the Spores is in here, some good general 4-point removal, which I think is fine and it's definitely warranted. And then Pellar to get around a defender, or Purify one of our units should it get poisoned or locked or anything of that sort. So that's basically what we have here. Let's get into some games, and I'm really excited to test this out with you guys. I'll be doing live commentary with this one here just because I want to get these videos to you sooner, and obviously it's going to take a little bit more time if I go back and do it after. But either way, I'm excited to play, and let's get started. Alright, for the first game we have Tactical Decision.
Patience is not a virtue I am known to have.
It makes sense that a lot of people are going to want to be playing like hyper thin and whatnot, so fortunately we have a couple good techs for that matchup. We just have to make sure we pull into some of them here. And I want to split up pairs. You see how we have these two. We'll just put back one of these so that we have ample targets for the Mamuna. I can't say I love having Morntart round 1. It doesn't really do us much help here. So we can go ahead and put that back. At least we get Self Eater to start getting some value for that. And then we can go from there. The Lesser Witcher's not really bonded here, so there's consideration to hold on to that as well. So that's a pretty good selection here, if I have to say. But this is also really good removal for the Toad Prince, I have to be honest. So there's consideration to go and take that first. And then we have something that we can essentially hit with this here. I mean, that'll just destroy it though. It has to be exposed. That's the issue. Darn. We don't have like 2 damage that we can just ping off that. I see. So they're going for Sabbath. You know, I'm not really looking forward to them basically getting Sabbath. I don't know if I can afford them to take Cantarella here. It's one of the 2 things. I think we get rid of this first, and then we go for this second. And the reason why we're doing that is because we're on red coins, so if they can make 25 points, I get it. But, that'll take it out of range there. I think that's okay. We got the whole leader combo and everything just out of the way off the get-go. So we'll play to 7 regardless. We'll hit that because next turn we could potentially remove it. I don't think that we play beyond 7 here, to be fair. So is it mill or is it
Attention please. I shall now speak.
It has all the recipe to be mill. I just don't have the hand. Right? We'll take the pass here because the 2 points per turn is kind of scary. But sure enough, they just go for it. They've already gotten 2 pretty good cards. So I don't really want to take Finns like crazy. So there's consideration to actually put back the rider. And I don't know if I want to do the same with Mamuna. It's kind of, that's kind of a big spend, you know? If anything though, put back the 4. I think that should be fine. So I would imagine they try and challenge us here. Windmill passes. So we have to set up something for the Mamuna. And to be fair, they took one of our apprentice, and we don't necessarily want to play this. So I think we can actually afford to play a lesser or self-eater. Honestly, self-eater. Here, give myself a choice. We have time and space, right? Because I do want to have as many units as possible for the Morntarts, so on the pass we can play down a little bit here. Now we have one of two choices. We could pull into the Gantian or we can pull into the Self-Eater. Either would be great with the Mamuna. We just don't want to have either like both in hand like this. So it's kind of nice that we drew them because we'll go and we'll mulligan one of them back. And to be fair, I think it's this. And I actually don't think I mind Spores here. I think Spores is something we might need to have. But the problem is if we want to get around a defender, let's say... Okay, I'm starting to think maybe it's not a Spores matchup. I think it's just mill. So we want to wait at least a turn before we take Mamuna, just because we want to have the two relics side by side. So in that event, I think it's fine just to put down something like that, because then we can sandwich after and get Sabbath really quickly so that the apprentice can go down, and that should be fine. But there's also consideration to just go ahead and put the Self-Eater down first.
Pain? Don't fret. I know where your corpse will be found.
Do they have a destroyed Doom tech or something? To be fair, I'd like to have this combo, for example, on the back row, just because they go pretty wide. But I also want Sabbath, but I also do think that they're probably going to remove the Witch. So I'm just going to get this down so that we don't have to play awkwardly. Yeah. This is ranked. Maybe for the Savola? Or like just tall unit. It's kind of interesting. Okay, we need Sabbath. I think we just play here anyways.
In this job, it's crucial not to lose your head.
That was actually a little bit of a mistake in my head. I was like, okay, we gotta play this between the two. No, it just comes from the board. So, yeah, we should have had Sabbath first, but at the end of the day, it's fine because we want to get down these cards as soon as possible. Realistically, this one first. They're giving us a pretty difficult time getting what we need here. I think I'm just going to put this down so that it's there. And then we can just jam pig it. It'll all kind of come together. This is wild. It transforms though. So it doesn't work like that.
Hey, you are what you eat. Then take flight, eh?
And it leaves the doom. So unless they've got another one. I think that's pretty cool though with the Gaunter, to be honest. You know, I'm somehow a little bit worried that they could potentially have another one of the fortune tellers. So I'm trying to decide here if I want to go ahead and heatwave the Gaunter, because they can just fire it off in one turn, to be fair. And also we have tokens that are doomed, right? Trust issues. So we'll probably... So Gaunter was heatwaved. Maybe they have another Will-O-Wisp. I think we should be fine. Now we didn't really get a whole lot set up here, but Cantarella helps. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah.
An interesting choice.
Okay. So yeah, that wasn't all bad. Just take that here. So even if they remove that, we should just be fine, right? Renew.
What is truth if not an illusion?
Fortunate has a funny way of biting you in the ass.
You know, I have to say that's really cool. So moving on to the second game of the day, we have Syndicate Jackpot. So believe it or not, I haven't actually played against Jackpot yet this season. We'll see how we do against it. Yaga might be like a red coin abuse win round 1 type card, right? So we can try that out. Bonded here is pretty nice. Engine removal is not bad. Purify against what, a poison or bounty? It's not a bad round 1 hand, to be fair. I don't know if I love Mamuna here if we want to play deep into the round. This might be a bit smoother. Okay, so these will get out of control. We have to answer that immediately. Man, I don't know what it is, but the last, like, 2 days I've been having this ongoing headache. It's nuts. So if I seem like a little bit, just more chill or quieter, it's basically why. Also 5:30 in the morning. I went to bed early last night so I can get up and do this. I wasn't feeling up to it yesterday.
Use that, smell that.
So far, nothing threatening. We have dominance, which is great for these, but I think we want to go a bit harder here. Get these down, put down the apprentice, and go from there. I think that it's a possibility they're running like a poison package, so we have to be careful of that. Yeah. Now, they're never going to know. With the whole Yaga play, that could be quite great. You know, we've got really good options here, so I'm thinking about doing that definitely in round 1. We'll just go ahead, get the 2 down here, that, Witcher Apprentice, then we'll go for the Yaga, I think. What I really want to get, though, is, it'd be nice to get, like a Jackal or something, you know? We gotta be careful of single turn poison here, so if I see the location come down, it's gonna be kind of bad. Otherwise, we just jam Thin, we jam Yaga, we should just be pretty comfortable. I'm gonna start playing on the back row because I don't want to ruin my opportunity here with the Ghansien on the front row. Siggy coming down, damn. Where's the spores when you need it? Here comes the boat. To be fair, we warm Yaga up right now. We don't want to have bonded. They can't answer this immediately with like a Horsen, then we should be doing okay.
The pike's king of the pontar! The pike, damn it!
Oh, they're getting nervous. Well, this is 5 provision, so we'll take it. Oh, that's that was a little bit of a 5 a.m. problem for me. Here. That was a whoops. I mean, that's just pretty good here. We can just go ahead and play something like that. To be fair, it didn't really cost me a whole lot. I think it's good to show the good with the bad sometimes, right? We make a couple mistakes in the game. Shows you guys how to work around them. Totally forgot about the Siggy, though. Now, don't really care for the Purify. The Toad Prince is nice. We've got... this I never got to play. Okay. I'm trying to decide if I want to take them into a long round or not. Long round's probably better for me. We just need to get these 2 would be ideal, and this would be kind of cool, but I think it's mainly just these 2 that's the most important thing here for us. I'm gonna play my Mamuna here. I think it's fair. Because the thing is, like, I don't necessarily want to take Mushy Truffle with me into round 3. Because we already played the 2 that we had in deck. So, this going down for 5 points is not very intriguing for me. You know what I mean? It's kind of a problem. There's consideration to heatwave the location. But I think we can just take carryover, worry about that later. We're up by a pretty significant lead here, so... hypothetically, they go take a poison on that. It's not going to put them ahead. They have to spend something a bit more expensive. We keep... yeah, they might have to use the... they don't have to use the location, but... well, they might if they're going to poison themselves. So seeing the Horson come down here is really good. Were they bluffing on the poison? I guess so. Yeah, Horson down here is really good because Morntart has more of a chance of survival next round. Wow.
Slow, ain't ya?
So they have to go and they have to actually leader in order to get ahead. If they don't leader, we got... Yeah, that's perfect. You just use the horse in here. Oh. Okay, that's wasting coins. Okay, so they made a little hiccup mistake in round 2. I made one in round 1. We're even. Right? It's best 2 out of 3. Now you might think it's in the bag, but honestly, because of this whole play with Cobb, it's kind of risky here. It's hard to say, right? We have golds, so we can pull into one of 3. We kind of want to pull one more, but we kind of don't want to have this. So I'm going to compromise. Location stays as well. Do we care for the purify? I'm gonna say no. Go ahead and take a play like this first. Split it in half. We have a row set up, you know, for the truffle if we need it. We won't use it just yet. So far we have potential Toad Prince sitting right there. We should just be... I'm thinking we're pretty comfortable. We got a Heatwave. That's 6. I don't know if we're going to be getting that... that tall number we're looking for, right? Yeah, I don't think we're going to be getting 25. To be fair, though, we might as well just go ahead and play something like that, just so that we can get Sabbath next turn, assuming that they can't finish the 3.
Sometime next week. When she made a thing, no again at the dinner table. It's rude.
That keeps us pretty comfortable here. So that's... They're taking Salamander. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Yeah. So moving on to the third game, we have Invigorate, and this is kind of one of my tech matchups that we had, right? We have a couple answers to what they're doing here, so I'm pretty excited to see how it goes. Yaga would be nice. Spores is pretty nice. This whole hand feels pretty playable. I kind of want to play it down all the way. I want to give them a pretty difficult time in round 1, to be fair. I wonder if for that reason we tuck something like this back. Yeah, we kind of want like a self-eater. So Mamuna doesn't take this. It'll probably take one of these instead. I think we're willing to play both of these.
Humans are scum. I prefer elves. War.
So they're doing Invigorate movement. Okay. If we can get Sabbath quickly, then we can start eating these cards.
whistling on mine.
So we're almost there. We just gotta hope that they don't boost something above 9, because I kind of want to get out the riders real quick. And then we'd be able to just take the Yaga, put down the apprentice, go from there.
Special prize, just for you, love.
Let's not talk about how we missed the point here.
Show me the coin or sod off.
Okay, so we take, we've got the 1, we've got 5s, we've got 6s. We'll play the fruit next turn. This was one it wouldn't have procced the thrive anyways. I wonder if they're going to try and remove it this turn. That would help us out a little bit. I'd probably pass on that. Okay. I mean, Fillet is good to see. I don't think we care that much. We have to get out of the round because one more comes out. They're getting all these passive points. It's just not a good situation for us here. Yeah.
I'm feeling sleepy, grumpy, dopey, and bashful.
So we got lots of lesser witches, and self-eaters are good to see here. It's a little bit bronze heavy though. We kind of want to have tall punish, so I'm trying to prioritize here. Pull into 1 gold card, so we have options of a few. But is there anything we can do that's a little bit better than this? Okay, I think that leaves me, like, competitive at least, right? On a dry pass, maybe we put down, like, the self-eater.
Wanna flip for my axe? When should I sing no again at the
They likely have a couple more rebukes where that came from. Generally, you'll see like a forest protector if they're running like a Phila. It just kind of helps. So we should be able to just put these down, get the pig on board. The pig should be able to stay, and then we can go from there. To be fair though, that's a pretty good removal here. And because we're not going to be thriving this and I want to maintain card advantage, I think I actually click 10 points a turn for these. At this point though, we'll play the pig, then we'll play the second lesser witch. We want to get those 2 points per turn because they have 2 points per turn. And if they have Skags in hand, we're in trouble, but other than that, the pig should be pretty fine.
Right, if my coin's rancid, go kiss a dog neath its tail.
We'll find out probably right now. Nice. So we maintained that last save, which means we get our spores or the heat wave that we're looking for. It's good to see. I don't know if I care for that. Purify is not really as necessary unless they have a defender, which I don't think so. So we have Self-Eaters off of Mamuna, which is huge. I think we actually just kick this. And so we're guaranteed, well, I almost wish we just get this at this point. There we go. Pig would be nice too, but I want to have the extra cards for this. I think it's better in this length of round. Unfortunately, we don't get to do what we want to do here, but I think that's fine because this will now stay, right?
Taking up berries. Would you like an arrow to the head instead?
In this it's crucial not to lose your head. Blueberries, the lady of the woods.
Makes quite a big difference. I don't think that they have what it takes to come back in this match. I could be wrong, but maybe Simlas changes things here.
Why should I, an elf, a sage, converse with an ape?
Okay, so that's actually pretty big. This goes up to 7. We can hit that with the selection, which will stop it from boosting. And then the last 2 cards they have should be very tall. I think we just win the game.
Cursed idiots! I ought to ram you!
Something like that. Hopefully we get to see what the last say is here. Aglaeus, okay.
Drink this, you'll feel better.
Just take the heat wave. Good to go. For the last game of the day we have, looks like it's vampires, right? If we can get Yaga to eat a Fletter, then I'm pretty happy with that. Now, Pellar might actually see some pretty good value in this matchup. This will probably be good for like a Nekarat or something like that. Spores could even be very good here. But we need something we can play more thoroughly, I guess you could say, in round 1. You know what I mean? What are these contracts from? There's tons of them. I think we have to dive for something a bit golder, you know? So we'll try and get this whole Sabbath thing going as quick as possible, because then they need more than 2 bleeding to actually start taking us down every turn once we get the apprentice out. I strongly regret. That's not the right card to put. I mean, it's gonna keep thriving itself, I guess, right? We need points. We need points to make up for the points we're gonna lose. So we'll get this whole combo down. Another one should be fine. Then the apprentice should just be pretty good here. That's a 6 provision, am I right? This is a 5, yeah.
These are the souls of my sisters, burned by your kind.
I don't think I want to pass. I think we have to play into this a little bit deeper. That's 4 provisions, so that'll be a really good Yaga. We could let that go for a little bit.
Surprisingly clean creatures, as it happens.
Four, 5. To be fair, it'll push them out of the round. And then we can just start playing like bronzes and stuff like that. Because we get the Alp next. Flutter after that. They know it's over after a couple turns. Okay, so their devotion. It's kind of important. I think it's fair to go and take a purify here. It's not very expensive for us. And we'll probably play the Self-Eater, even though we're not really getting much value from it. The fact that we could play this here and eat the 5 is not bad. If they play a better 5 provision card, then we can go and try and take that. We have Spores, which is pretty nice. We have Heatwave for Regis.
It's a pity I can never finish.
So this will put Yaga to 6. So we don't want to reset the Flutter. We want to reset maybe the Beast. I just don't know if it's enough. Like, we want to get ourselves that extra turn, right? This is also a 6? Okay. We'll reset this one, and then we have another one we can eat after. I'm willing to take the 8. I think that's fine. To be fair, though, I think the Flutter is still probably a good take, but... Actually, with Unseen Elder, we could probably pass on that pretty comfortably. No, we're not passing here.
Once you made the same noise
that's as far as I'll go. So, got 12 provisions here. 10 here, 7, 6. Flutter's out of the way. Nagelfar's out of the way. We went with Yaga and the Bloody Mistress, right? So I would say that our commitments weren't as great as theirs were. We got 2 of the leader charges out of the way, which is huge. And we did some setup for our Morntart later. Setup for Morntart, setup for the Mamuna. We maintained Heatwave for Regis, which is really the priority here. So, with that being said, we probably pass in round 2. And just play into a mid-long round 3, right? We just need 2 of these cards. This would be nice. This would be nice too. I'm just trying to think, can they do more than 9 points in one card? Nope. Not now that they spent like a pretty good handful of stuff. And seeing a Catacan on a pass is actually very good here. This is awesome. This is really good too. This is okay. If they have an Alp or a Nekarat or something, we're really good with that. I think we tuck away this here. Mamuna is amazing. Mamuna is going to be playing for the... probably the Griffins here. I feel like if I feel like if we greed it, we get in trouble. So we'll keep it. We'll keep it the way it is. Would have been nice, obviously, to see 1 and 2, but it is what it is. They have Mamuna. That's pretty interesting. I guess it makes sense with Devotion, right? Now, we go and take ours probably right away. Alternative is the Apprentice, but I don't think the Apprentice would be more points here in this short round. And we don't want Sabbath here. I'm actually looking to avoid it, so I'm going to split the rows up, play this for the Griffin on the front row, so that we don't have to eat our hard work here on the Thrive. I think that's fine. Yeah, I think that's fine. We'll just play this here. It'll engine a little bit more.
Scurry along the floor. Beautiful good witch, defeat a big bad lion.
So we're sitting pretty comfortably. We have at least a target. Okay, there's a really good Toad Prince. Perfect. That should realistically push them out of the game, because we know Regis is going to be pretty big, but Oriana's not really threatening here.
Wouldn't touch a hair on my head, she said.
Yeah, we just take that. That's good.